don't think so. She was in there getting in a cold tub, so she keeps saying I'll be fine, so I trust her.
What's going on, my Flyby family? It's your boy Izzy. Welcome if you're new. Sophie Cunningham's injury scared everybody half to death, man.
Our favorite Indiana coach, Stephanie White, who is likely capable of winning a game with her eyes closed, just gave Sophie Cunningham an injury report, and believe me, it's not your typical, oh, she's fine situation. Nope, we're discussing unexpected turns and perhaps some drama, the kind of update that will have you wondering, wait, what? This injury story is going to become much more fascinating than you may have imagined.
So Sophie Cunningham went down with what did not look like the greatest injury. She went down, rolled her ankle after landing on Ryan Howard's leg, which is not an ideal situation. No.
Stephanie White has revealed shocking information on Sophie Cunningham's injury, and I can assure you that this isn't your usual heartbreaking, tearful update. No. Sophie Cunningham isn't the kind to sit around and let an injury define her, so if you were hoping for a sad story in which she sits on a bench with a box of tissues and feels sorry for herself, you might want to grab some popcorn and get ready for something much more exciting.
This game, number one. The starters for Indiana were okay, right? We ended up seeing a change in the starting lineup. We saw Sophie Cunningham get the starting nod. However, Sophie Cunningham had to go out of the game. I forgot what half that was, if that was in the first half or the second half. But Sophie Cunningham was coming down. She was in the air, coming down. She ended up rolling her ankle on Ryan Howard's foot. She went out of the game, was on the bench for a little while, and I believe she went to the locker room, but she did not return back to this game.
As you can see, Sophie Cunningham is a different breed. She is a warrior, and not just a player. She isn't the type of athlete who waits for the injury fairy to appear, sprinkle some magic dust, and fix everything. Instead, she is more of the type to say, okay, you've thrown a challenge my way now, see me slay it. When her injury was originally reported, the typical concern was whether this would be the end of her season and whether she would take some time to rest and be cautious.
You know, yes, Sophie Cunningham got injured, okay? She got injured. She landed on her ankle the wrong way. Let's go ahead and look through the play right now, all right? So here she is here, coming for the rebound, boom, and lands on Ryan Howard's foot the wrong way, and she was holding it.
Sophie isn't in the business of waiting around for someone to tell her when it's safe to return to the game. Rather, she's all about charging back into the action as if the injury never even happened, leaving a trail of defeated opponents in her wake. In fact, this injury update isn't about her sitting on the sidelines at all. If you followed Cunningham's career at all, you already knew the answer before you even asked. About her recovering with such force that everyone in her immediate vicinity feels as though they are witnessing a real-time game changer.
This game, number one. The starters for Indiana were okay, right? We ended up seeing a change in the starting lineup. We saw Sophie Cunningham get the starting nod. However, Sophie Cunningham had to go out of the game. I forgot what half that was, if that was in the first half or the second half. But Sophie Cunningham was coming down. She was in the air, coming down. She ended up rolling her ankle on Ryan Howard's foot. She went out of the game, was on the bench for a little while, and I believe she went to the locker room, but she did not return back to this game.
And let's face it, when Sophie Cunningham returns to the court, she is not just an athlete recovering from an injury. Rather, she is a whole force of nature poised to upend everything. Anyone who doubts her is going to have a rude awakening because she is returning, and she is returning strong. This woman is an absolute freaking warrior, and I can assure you that she is like A. Today's superhero Sophie Cunningham is the type of player who makes you sit up straight with your eyes glued to the screen, wondering how someone could move with such speed and strength. Trust me, she's always moving, whether it's on defense, offense, or just breaking through the noise of the game. Sophie is relentless like a freight train barreling down the court. There's no stopping her. However, instead of a cape fluttering behind her, she's wearing a basketball jersey that is probably covered in a layer of sweat and determination. If you look closely, you'll notice that she has a physique that could bench press a car, because why not?
Back to this game. So I hope that Sophie Cunningham is okay. Again, you know, it looks like a rolled ankle, so hopefully it's not too bad. Maybe she's out for a day or so. But yeah, we'll see. We'll find out an update for from the Indiana Fever. But Sophie Cunningham did go out of the game due to injury.
If you ever wanted evidence that the Indiana Fever are more than simply a team, they are a real, live example of that force. Look no further than Sophie Cunningham. She is the spark that ignites the storm. In fact, the squad as a whole might want to change their motto to "We're not just here to play, we're here to crush." The first person to say, "That's right," would be Sophie. Her attitude is what sets her apart. She has a remarkable capacity to combine the fierceness of a lion with the agility of a gazelle, giving opponents the impression that they are attempting to capture the speeding bullet. The thing about Sophie is that she doesn't care if she gets knocked down or if someone slams her to the ground, which incidentally happened during the Mystic game. Additionally, she doesn't even seem alarmed by it. You could almost hear her saying, "Oh, that was fun, let's do it again." And then she will stand up as if gravity weren't a law of physics, but just a suggestion.
And that's a positive thing. She was like trying to see if she could get back in the game. Obviously, they're not dumb. They're not going to put her back into a preseason game. But she was trying to get back into the game, which is big. Like, if we're honest, that is genuinely big. But as well as that, we've now heard Stephanie White talking about it. Obviously,
really, this woman has likely endured more physical abuse than the majority of us will in our lifetimes, yet she plays every game with the compassion of a champion and a fighter's tenacity. Sophie Cunningham is in full beast mode. She's not just trying to win a match. She's trying to show that you can't break her no matter how many times you strike her. Sophie Cunningham's injury is more than just a, "Oh, she's hurt, and now she'll be out for the season" story if you haven't been paying attention. If you thought Sophie Cunningham was just going to sit around, you would be mistaken. She seldom lets an injury stop her from doing what she does best, which is blowing past opponents, setting up plays, and essentially acting like she's trying out for a role in a fast and furious movie. You obviously don't know Sophie if you turn around and allow her injury to rule her.
Everybody was scared in the live stream, man. I was holding my breath. My face was fixed a certain way that looked crazy. I mean, we were scared in there, okay? Now, the main thing is, yes, she twisted her ankle, okay? And she was out for the rest of the game. But she is okay, all right? It did look like it could have been something worse because of how she landed, and it was like more so of an Achilles looking stretch instead of a twisted sideways foot. So that's what scared that's what scared me. But nonetheless, man, it came out that it was a twisted ankle and she was okay, and she was just gonna sit out for
the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White, and let's face it, the real brains behind this are probably relaxing in her chair right now, grinning contentedly like someone who knows they've just won the lottery. Cunningham. Since Sophie Cunningham is the kind of player who doesn't just play the game, she owns it. You don't need to worry about major injuries or falling behind in the standings when you have a player like Sophie on your roster. She's the one who dives for loose balls, throwing her body into the chaos of the court and making sure that every single second on the floor counts. You can put her through anything you want, including a bruised opponent or a scoreboard that seems a little too close for comfort. Sophie, on the other hand, isn't about to be phased. On the contrary, she thrives in those situations, frequently finding a way to turn the tide with a little blood, sweat, and maybe a few bruises that she'll wear with pride. Let's face it, Stephanie White is aware that when you have a player like Sophie, you have everything you need. It's like the adage, pain is temporary, but glory is forever. Sophie is focused on securing Sophie's agony and afterthought glory, and she does this game after game.
Cunningham started in her place, which was an interesting wrinkle before the game. Cunningham actually stepped on somebody's foot and turned her ankle and had to leave the game, though Stephanie White said afterwards that Cunningham said she'll be fine. So that's the update from Sophie Cunningham, and it was a run-of-the-mill step on the foot ankle injury.
Let's talk about the Mystic game, the one you were probably watching and still playing in your mind like a masterpiece of film. Sophie didn't simply take a hit. This wasn't your typical foul, in which the player goes down, shakes it off, and continues as if nothing had occurred. Instead, it was like the cosmos itself said, "Let's see how badly we can rattle Sophie today." And the outcome was beautiful gold. Some athletes might have given up under that kind of strain and sat down on the parquet to tend to their bodies in pride, but Sophie, oh Sophie, got completely crushed and slammed to the ground like a rag doll. Rather than remaining there and absorbing the crowd's pity, she made a motion that begged, "Is that all you've got?" With no hesitation and with a gaze that could likely burn holes through steel, she immediately returned to her previous appearance as if she were auditioning for the position of most dangerous person on the court. "Did you really think you could take me down that easily?"
And it's getting ugly already out there. There was a couple of ugly fouls. And the retards, as I like to call them, the RAHTARDSs.
And then the real magic arrived. Sophie took the tumble and became a one-woman wrecking ball instead of simply getting up. Said, "Nice try, but I've been to the ground and back." That is the type of player you want on your team. Not one who gives up easily under pressure, but one who grins and declares, "This is my court." Let's face it, Sophia is more than just a vital member of the team. She is their secret sauce, their heartbeat, and the foundation of the whole thing. Without her, the team would likely begin to resemble a pizza without cheese, albeit there is undoubtedly some structure and possibly even a small taste. But let's face it, it's simply not as delicious. Have you ever experienced a pizza that is essentially simply bread with a few toppings strewn on top, like a dejected flat piece of dough attempting to pass for something unique but failing miserably? Sophie is the glue that holds everything together, transforming a boring circumstance into something you want. She is the layer that enables the team to perform well.
Cunningham, I hope she feels better. I'm going to call it out. I saw what happened. So when
Every movement she makes on the floor is meticulously planned and, dare I say it, precise, like seeing a master chef throw down in the kitchen. Undeniably delicious, but when you remove her from the equation, all you're left with is a jumble of incomprehensible toppings and a crust that's too rough to even chew. The Fever is unquestionably a different team with Sophie. Without her, it would be like attempting to build a house without a foundation. It would be shaky, unstable, and undoubtedly not last long. If you believe that Fever is a serious contender without Sophie, you might as well ask a fish to climb a tree. Sure, it might flail its way up, but it probably won't go very far, and even if it did, it wouldn't be doing anything. Without Sophie, they lose their rhythm, flow, and edge, which is what it's supposed to do.
They are already now attacking Sophie Cunningham. Oh, they're mad. The MAGA Barbies got them angry. They're cheering on violence against this basketball player. Sophie Cunningham just got through by...
In short, Sophie is the unsung hero who makes everything appear simple, but without her, the Fever are just another team attempting to make their way in a sea of mediocrity. Sophie is the player who changes the game, taking them from being good enough to being on the verge of ruining this league. If you lose her, you're losing more than just a player. You're losing the team's heart and soul. Of course, no one knows this better than Sophie herself. When the opposition looks at Sophie, they don't see a player who can easily outmuscle them. Rather, they see someone who is practically daring them to approach her. Sophie isn't just playing the game. She's playing with the kind of confidence that makes her opponents question their own life decisions. She's out there ready to take on the world and laugh in its face.
You got a little taste of winter in the middle of March and April. That's always fun.
Heck yeah. You know, after practice yesterday, they had scalloped potatoes and meatloaf, and I was like, I am back in the Midwest, and I love it. So I'm all here. I'm for it.
She is certain that she will not only make it through this game, but flourish there because of the type of energy Sophie exemplifies this fearless attitude by always charging forward and never backing down. If a tackle knocks her down, it's only a brief stop before she's back up and doing what she does best, dominating the field when faced with a chance of injury. The Fever need warriors, players who thrive in the chaos, roll with the punches, and come back stronger every time. Sophie smirks and continues, "You think that's going to stop me? Please, I'm just getting started," without even flinching. And it's precisely the mindset that the Fever must. Gather all of the